everybody. Here we are. I'm Cleo the Seer. This is Colleen the Cool Crone. And we're here today to talk about politics. And I can see the people just flooding in. I mean,
Oh, look at that. Is that like 40,000 already?
yeah. I think what else can you do on a Sunday afternoon than come on to
I
YouTube
know.
and watch us?
I
So
know.
we're hoping that people will watch this later because there may not be a ton on here right now. Right now, I see Foxy Roxy and Lorraine Billos and artist Liz and Teresa Haldarin. Darian? I
Hey,
don't know.
hey, Darian.
Hey, Darian. Okay. So I'm not real good at names, as you can tell right off the bat. Anyway, we want to talk about what's going on with the presidential election, what's going on with Kamala Harris, the vice president, and of course, 45. And what kind of things are going to happen with this group,
Yeah.
especially with Trump. I mean, Trump has continued to come out with weird things that if it doesn't scare the shit out of you, I don't know what will. His latest one has been that that if you vote for him now and put him in the president's, make him president, that you won't have to vote again. So he's saying that after 4 years, don't worry about it because he'll still be there. He'll still be your king. He'll still be the authoritarian government. He will still be running the show, and that scares me to death. So, and the people that are listening to him, I don't think they're really, the little Trumpsters, I don't think they're really understanding what they're being told.
No.
They don't know what that means, that they won't have to vote again. That he said because he'll fix it. He'll fix it. Now, well, he says they will fix it, meaning his mob that supports him.
Yeah.
And I just boy, it's just a really scary thing that he says. Of course,
Yeah.
now it goes right along with all the other scary things that he says. And how he keeps putting down, when he was talking about Biden, he said Biden's the worst president ever. And we know that not to be true, and that nobody in the world really thinks that. And then now he said that Kamala Harris is the worst vice president we've ever had. And I don't see that either. So we're just going to kind of look at some of these things that Trump is saying and what is going. First of all, let's just have the sigh of relief that Kamala Harris has just exploded on the scene. I mean,
Yes.
just doing fantastic. She's
Yeah.
bringing in the money. She's bringing in the people. She's a great speaker. She's going to be a great president.
Mm-hmm.
But I still worry about Trump and all the illegal things that he will do to try to be president. And then after it's said and done, and Kamala has been elected, that he will probably fight it, try to take it to court, try to dismiss it, just do every single thing. And I just, I'm hoping that the current administration is going to be ready for this, because that's what he's going to do. And since he's got the Supreme Court on his side, who knows what could happen. But I mean, it's, on one hand, it's just an exciting, great thing that is happening with Kamala Harris. But then Trump, it's almost like it ignites Trump into real dangerous activity of what he wants to do. And it's craziness. And I know that we can all agree with that. I just can't figure out what his supporters are thinking. I mean, when you bring it right down to it, he is a convicted felon now. So why in the world would anybody want a convicted felon over any candidate?
Well, I can't figure out how there are more than 2 people left in the country that want to vote for him. How is there more than like 2 people who are stupid enough to want to do that? I mean, don't they realize if he's saying no more elections, that means you're kind of in a prison state. You're kind of in a militaristic state. You're just being ruled by his government, which he rules, which he has complete control over. So there's no real justice. There's no real law and order. It's just lockdown.
It's
It's
authoritarian. It's an
yeah,
authoritarian government, and
yeah. It's Handmaid's Tale. It's Handmaid's Tale or
no,
The
he's
Man in the
kind of
High Castle.
comparing himself to Putin. He wants to be like Putin, except even Putin has fake elections,
Yeah.
and goes through the process like that. But no, he wants to be like Putin, or he wants to be like Rocket Man. Those are his idols, and people just aren't. His followers just aren't getting it because they're
Yeah.
still buying into that. All these criminal charges against him were made up and politically motivated, when that's not the case, and he's not going to get out of those.
Now,
He's
do
not.
you think with his pick of JD Vance and all the bad things that have come out since then, do you think that there's a way he will get rid of him, get rid of Vance? Because I
I
think here's my theory. If he does not get rid of Vance, Vance will get rid of him.
That's the thing. I think Vance is going to try to get rid of him,
I do too. I said it 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I agree.
and Vance is probably even worse than Trump. And Vance has been bought and paid for by the Heritage Foundation and is a complete supporter of Project 2025.
Hmm.
And I think that Trump probably got some money from somebody in order for him, that said, here, we'll give you this if you bring JD Vance into it.
Yeah, Peter
And
Thiel. Peter Thiel has gotten JD Vance all of his jobs, and he's failed at all of his jobs, and he just keeps getting him more jobs. And this is just the latest job. He helped him buy the Senate seat. He helped him in his last two jobs that he completely screwed up. And so it was definitely Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel
so
is the puppet master.
So I'm thinking that Trump himself has received money to do this. So
Hmm.
he can, now that he's accepted the money and put JD Vance in there, he'll stick by him.
Well, and I tell you what, if because it just occurs to me, I'm just getting a hit here that it occurs to me that if Peter Thiel really is pulling the strings, they'll pull out Trump. He'll do the puppets pulling the strings to pull out Trump because he doesn't, he doesn't probably like that Trump is acting like, he's not a part of Project 2025. He's trying to distance himself from that. And I don't think that's going to go over so well because I think Peter Thiel is pretty in tight with the Heritage Foundation. And the head of the Heritage Foundation also, I think, would work in collusion with Vance and Thiel to pull out Trump because they all want Project 2025 to come to be pulled off. And I think that Trump, I think, is going to be outmaneuvered by these guys if he's not careful. And that, for me, leads to why Trump would leave the country before the election.
Well, I don't think they'll be able to get Trump out, and I think that they're banking on Trump to be the winner. So yeah, they'll go that far with it. Now, whatever happens, like let's say that by some disaster that he actually did win, then if he didn't do what they wanted him to do, then yes, they will flip the switch and suddenly what's that one amendment? I think it's the 25th Amendment or something where you could bring the vice president into office instead of the
I
president.
think it's the 19th Amendment or
Maybe I got
I'll,
the wrong.
I'll Google it. It's okay.
It's some amendment. At any rate, um, there's going to be so much infighting in the first place that I don't think they're going to have to worry about it. But what we are going to have to worry about is what he will do when Kamala Harris wins it and he doesn't accept it. And so I just, I see a lot of problems there, but I also see a lot of problems for Trump in general.
Hmm.
I just don't, this presidential immunity thing just threw a wrench in the works of all these different cases against him. But, no matter what, he has been convicted of 34 felonies. And let's say he found some trick way or his lawyers did, to get that dismissed or thrown out or something, which I don't think that's going to happen. But even if he did, the fact is he will always be a person that was convicted of 34 felonies. And I mean, that is a huge, big deal. Okay, it's the 25th. That's what I thought. 25th Amendment.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So that brings into, to make sure that Kamala gets it, they're saying that it makes a big difference of what the vice president is, who her running mate is. So, Colleen, who do you think, or what have you come up with in regards to Kamala's VP pick?
Well, do you want me to go through them all or just get right to the meat? I mean,
Get right to the meat.
Oh, but it was so fun going through them all and analyzing.
Go through. If you want to go through them all, you can.
Well, they're brief. It's brief. So the first one I went to was Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania. Now they do have a karmic connection. They do have connection to some very sensitive points in her chart, but he brings a sense of burden and responsibility to the two of them rather than relieving her burden. And he does bring a lot of vitality and ideas and communication, and he connects to her Saturn, which is her karma, causing her to feel supported, but it also keeps him in a secondary role. So I don't think he would ever eclipse her, as not like Vance and Trump. But there's a little awkwardness there. And in that awkwardness in their relationship, there would be an impulse on the part of both of them to try to resolve that. But I just don't see it. They do have good understanding of one another. He has a moon in Aquarius. She has she's a Libra sun. So as far as just getting along and being in some kind of a relationship, yeah, they'd be okay, but not for president, vice president, because she has seen, the golden combo. She knew Obama and Biden when they were president and vice president. She saw that relationship up close and personal. She experienced that relationship that was very, very close for her and Biden, and she's not going to settle for anything less. So what I'm thinking is that he would be more of somebody in the cabinet. And I think he'd be a very strong contender for one of the big seats in the cabinet, like possibly even Secretary of State. He's very strong. There's a very strong connection with them, but and it's very.
Which guy were you talking about?
Shapiro. It's very karmic. Okay. It's very karmic. Their relationship, they're tied to each other karmically. So he's going to be something for her. I think more in the cabinet or something, but he's not going to be her VP pick. All right. So the next one that I looked at was Pete Buttigieg. Now, Pete Buttigieg had some interesting things. His moon and Uranus is in her house for partnerships, but that in itself isn't enough. That just means that there's kind of a struck by lightning kind of feel right there. But his Saturn sits on her sun, so he would be a burden, a super burden, even more than Shapiro. He would be her responsibility, so that would not be good. He has stuff that opposes her moon. That's not good, especially for politics. It's not good. He does have some positive things. He has good ideas. He can boost her energy. He can execute her ideas. He has a couple of trines in there that are good, but not even as good as Shapiro. So Pete Buttigieg, even if the thing about him being married to a man weren't a part of the equation, he would not be it. And then Mark Kelly. Now he's pretty strong. His connections with her are. Did I have some writing on Kelly? No. Okay. So his connections for her are good for government, but weak on foreign relations. And she needs somebody who's really strong on foreign relations because she while she's not super weak on foreign relations, it's just not her area of expertise. So she does need somebody who's very, very strong, and she will need a very, very strong Secretary of State. So I don't think Mark Kelly either. He's a very strong leader, but he's gonna over structurize things. He's gonna over organize things, and it's not going to be good for her. They can communicate very well together. His moon's in Gemini, that goes along very well with person who has Sun in Libra, but he's too bold. He's too really military. His personality comes across as very, very military. So that's not going to work for her. She's not going to like that. Okay, and then we have Gretchen Whitmer is still shown as being a real strong contender, and she has lots of, between the two of them, they have lots of big ideas. They're really focused on a lot of the same things: mental health, healthcare. They're all about service, both of them. And she also, like Kamala, is about getting it done. I'm ready to go. Work for women. Not afraid to get dirty. Really get in there. She has a tremendous creative drive. She has a lot of the divine feminine energy coming forward with her. She does get hindered by rules and government, but she's all about busting out of those and changing those. She's very creative. Her leadership is a creative outlet for her, and she has a sense of destiny, very much like Kamala. But I don't see a great partnership there. I feel they can work together very, very well, but I just don't see. I just don't see a partnership there. And then we come to Andy Bashir. Now, Andy Bashir is the one I think that she's going to pick. He has excellent astrological aspects to her chart. He has a planet, not a planet, a point called Black Moon Lilith, which is right on her ascendant. Black Moon Lilith is the point in our chart where we feel our hidden femininity, our hidden shame, the things in our life that we don't feel comfortable sharing with the public. And so that connection for her is really going to ring a bell because of her past in prosecuting like sex offenders and standing up for women and things like that. That's really going to ring a bell for her. And also, his Jupiter is in Cancer and Moon is in Cancer. Very caring, really resonating with women, really sensitive. And that falls in the second house of her chart. So that the second house is not just money, it's also your talents. And so he enhances her talents. He allows her to be the one out front, and he stands backstage and, hands her props, hands her lines. He's very, very supportive in that way, which is really important. His Mars at 10%, 10 degrees rather, Leo, her his Mars is at 10 Leo, hers is at 21 degrees Leo. So there may be a slight bit of competition there, but because her Leo, I feel her Mars is stronger there at 21 degrees, I think, she'll always win. And his Saturn is conjunct exactly on a fourth house cusp. Okay. He has Saturn on his ascendant, so he's a reserved person. He may be young, but he's pretty serious person with all of that Saturn on there, and it sits at a very sensitive point. It coincides to a very sensitive point on Kamala's chart that faces her midheaven. So very supportive, strong support. That's really good. Just all these planetary connections that are just so, so, so good. And then they've got this one thing that is a series of trines and sextiles, and it just tells me that this is fated. This is meant to be. This is where they're supposed to be. Their challenges will be met together with strength and dignity. And he's a Scorpio, and so he's strong. He's not afraid to work behind the scenes. He's not so machismo that he has to be out there showing how big he is. He's fine with taking the back seat to a woman in the name of, well, he would be the goddamn vice president, so that's not bad, right? And so with that, he does not feel the need to have to prove everything. And that Mars in Leo, like her Mars in Leo, strong leadership. When he's called on to be the leader, he will be the leader. When he's called on to be the support, he will be the support. So I say it's Andy Bashir, hands down. He's going to be
so Bashir, is that his name?
Bashir. Mhm.
he's a governor of Kentucky.
Kentucky, yeah.
And so how long's he been a governor? Do you
Well,
know?
let me just pull it up for us. I have him right here. So when was he elected? Welcome, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. No, we don't want to click any boxes. We just want to find out a little bit about him. Meet Andy. Let's figure it out. When was he elected? It doesn't say when he's the 63rd governor of Kentucky. It doesn't really say when he was elected, but he's done a lot. It says, let's see, from an early age, blah, 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 blah. I think he might have been governor since back in the pandemic, because it says during the pandemic, he made it a priority to communicate directly with Kentuckians on how to stay safe by providing daily briefings that were broadcast online and on television. At first light after the tornadoes in 2021 and the floods in 2022, he made a promise to be with the impacted communities until every home and every life was rebuilt.
Well, it sounds like he's been a great governor for Kentucky.
Yeah, yeah.
So here's what I
Oh,
think.
he's in his second term too. It says in his first
Wow.
term,
Okay,
in his
good. I
first
didn't
term
know that.
alone, he announced nearly $29 billion in private sector investment, the largest amount secured by any Kentucky governor. Oh yeah, he's got a great track record.
Oh, and somebody says here that Jeanette says that he was an attorney general before that.
Yeah, so they have a lot in common with that. And, most of all, he's just a plain old white guy. He's not.
Well, when it first came out about who Kamala was going to pick, I thought my first thought was that the guy you're talking about, Andy,
Yeah, I heard his name in my head too.
yeah, that he was going to be the one. But
Yeah.
then when they started bringing up all these other people, I started to change my mind because I saw that what they're dealing with is not just how well the person can be VP, but how it helps their campaign to have certain people. And so I kept thinking now Shapiro, because it really helps them to get Pennsylvania. We really need Pennsylvania to win the overall election. We need those electoral votes.
Yeah.
So that was what my thought was. Now, if they go by, it could go either way. I know you're going for.
Well, and when I heard all of these names, I knew I wouldn't be able to get it psychically, because I had so many emotional things. I wanted Gretchen Whitmer because it would be so cool to have a female vice president and president. I wanted Pete Buttigieg because I think he's so brilliant. And I just had these real emotional responses. But then when I looked at the astrology, I was able, that more logical part of my brain kicked in, and I was able to really look at, well, how would they be in partnership with her? Because it is a partnership. It's like another marriage. It's really important that they understand one another and that she can really trust and depend on this person. I mean, it's like an arranged marriage when you think about it. I mean, my God, she has to trust her life to this person. She's done all this political stuff on her own. And then she already knew Joe Biden and his family before she was picked, and she had been running for president. So she already had a really good idea of who Biden was by the time he picked her. So on her end, there was probably no question. On Biden's end, yeah, he had to kind of think about it, because maybe he had never thought of her before as that. And maybe his team suggested it. Who knows? But now she has to pick somebody that's a virtual unknown to her. And that's scary, I think,
Well,
politically and personally.
I think what you're saying with Gretchen, I immediately saw no. They're not. You're not going to have the very first woman president with a woman vice president. It's just not going to happen. That's what I think. I mean, I'm sure she's really good and she could be good. But by the way, I feel like she does not want to do it. And same with Pete Buttigieg. I thought he would be great, but he is a gay guy. And although we're pretty evolved and we can accept that kind of thing, I'm talking about in general, the population. I have absolutely no problem with it because I don't think about Pete Buttigieg being gay. He's just a very articulate, smart guy, and he's doing a great job at where he's at with the Secretary of Transportation. But I don't think he really wants to do it either. The guy from Arizona, Mark Kelly, is
Yes.
that it?
Yes.
Okay, that guy is a really good senator. I think they want to keep him in the Senate, and
Mhm.
so I don't see him being it. So for me, it is up in the air. It's between the governor of Kentucky and
Shapiro.
Pennsylvania, Shapiro and Bush. I can't remember his name. Bashir. Bashir.
Yeah,
I'll never get it right. I'm horrible with names. I am so sorry.
that is okay. That
But
is okay.
that's what I'm getting is that it's one of those two, mainly because we need Pennsylvania, and I think that Shapiro would make sure that that the Democrats got Pennsylvania. So and that right now that's the biggest thing about this presidential race is those electoral votes, and that's exactly what Trump is thinking about too. All I got to do is get the electoral votes, and I've got it. Even if the whole country voted
Hates
against
me.
it,
Yeah.
you know that that he has to have that, and so do we. So that's what the big fight is about. But I am just so relieved and excited to see how Kamala Harris has been embraced, accepted. And somebody said something about, let me see if I can go back up here and find it. Um, Oh, it was talking about the people in Florida, the people in their golf carts in Florida that are all for Kamala Harris, and I just love that. I don't see it now, but anyway, yes, I did see that thing about them. Oh, here it is. Here it
Hold it
is.
up. Oh, the villages. Yeah, they're traditionally pretty Trumpy.
Yeah, and it's in Florida. I love that. And then they've got their everybody's in golf carts and they've got all their signs for Kamala Harris. It just
Oh God.
very cool. And I just love seeing that. So there is, I think, even though we're on this is just going to be epic that we are on such a short leash here about trying to change from Biden to Harris, which it's only been a week and it just went so fast that you hardly even think about Biden right now.
I know. I said before I said something 2 weeks ago. It hasn't been 2 weeks. It's only been a week. So I couldn't have said it 2 weeks ago. So I misspoke earlier. I can't even remember what I said. But yeah, it's crazy. So I just threw out a few cards just to ask, is Vance going to be replaced? And I don't know what the legal machinations are about him being replaced, but we're talking about Trump. So I don't think the legal machinations apply. He's going to do whatever the F he wants to do. And yeah, they're going to replace him.
They're going to
And
replace Vance
they're going to replace Vance. And boy, are they,
before the election.
yeah. Yeah, he's not going to be VP. He's not going to be VP. Trump is going to do something. And he's got somebody behind the scenes really helping him. Probably that Stephen Miller, that guy who looks like a vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably him. But yeah, he's got when I pulled out just the 5 cards, I got the 10 of swords, meaning that they're going to stab him in the back real big time. And Trump probably intuits that if he doesn't do it, Vance is going to do it to him.
Oh, I think so. I think so.
He's really paranoid. So
Vance so far has not done anything to add to Trump's campaign.
no.
They're just,
Oh,
they keep bringing up all these clips of him saying that Trump is like Hitler, Trump is a bad candidate, Trump is a bad person. And then for him to try to do this 360 and act like, oh, well, that was before he became president. Actually, some of those clips are when he was president. So, yeah, it doesn't look good for him.
no, it does not look good for him. But I think that they're gonna they're going to do the dirty on Vance, but then who would they replace him with?
I don't know, and I'm kind of surprised that they would do it before the election. They'd have even less time than the Democrats had to make a switch like that. But it's not it's not going to make or break anything for Harris.
No, it's not, but it's just so chaotic and unusual that they would even contemplate such a thing. But you got to see written all over their faces, they definitely have buyer's remorse. None of them love what's going on with Vance. He's
Well, and
just making a shit show.
there's a lot of Republicans behind the scenes that don't really care for what Trump is doing.
No, there's a lot that don't.
When they see stuff like Trump coming out and saying, just vote for me now because once I'm in, you won't have to vote for anybody again. That is just amazing to me that he comes right out and says that. But he has said other things, that go right along with Project 2025.
Yep.
I know he's trying to dismiss that, put it on the back burner. It just can't. It could just, that is where they're at. That is what they want to do. They want an authoritarian government. They want to destroy our democracy. And this, I don't know. I just want it to be over. I just want Kamala in there. And so we can move on.
I'm trying to see if I can find a picture of the golf carts.
Oh, this is a good, hold on a minute. This is a good idea. Would he suddenly want to bring Nikki Haley in as VP? That's what he should have done in the first place.
That's what he should have done, yeah.
And so, if you're saying that he might get rid of Vance, that would be, boy, that's a good possibility. That's what he should have done in the first place.
She's kind of like the only person that would have any kind of oomph, because if he disses the Project 2025 people, he's going to need a big block of votes to put him over the line, because he realizes that the Project 2025, when he dismisses that, he loses voters. So I can't find a picture.
Now I'm wondering if he did put Nikki Haley in there, if his poll numbers would start to come up, because right now they're going down and Kamala Harris is going up.
Definitely going up.
And I see her going up much further, but
I found one. It's got a little video. Can I switch screens and show you? Oh, look, wait, let me see if it's good. Let me get right to the, oh, come on, we don't want to, oh, here we go. Oh,
what am I waiting for?
Hang on, let me pull it over. I just wanted to skip most of it if it wasn't really focusing on the golf carts, but it is. Okay, look at this.
I know, and that's a picture I've seen too. Look at that.
Look at that's coming. Look at that.
Oh
Good
my
Lord. They said over 500.
And they are really excited about it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're coming up to the camera and talking about, and they are former Trumpsters. A lot of them are former.
Yes, because they're from the villages, and that's where they really have a big machine getting people registered to vote, making sure they register Republican, making sure that they're going to vote for Trump. Yeah. Okay, what does Lorraine say? I haven't heard one thing that 45 Vance intends to do for the country only, but that's
I have yet to hear anything that they, well, I guess he's tried to mix it in with his odd other crazy comments that he makes. But he's so disjointed, it's hard to figure out what he's talking about. He's just so busy talking about himself and how bad everybody else is and how wonderful he is and what a great job he did as president. And I'm like, where are your Where's something to back that up? I've never been able to find anything that says you did a great job.
Have you ever spoken to a real Trumper who's really into the whole denying and the steal and no vaccinations? And have you ever talked to somebody like that?
Personally,
Yeah.
no, because I don't know anybody. Everybody I've talked to doesn't want Trump. They're not into Trump.
Well, let me tell you, they are very emotional, most of them, and they don't listen to facts. They're just like, oh, yeah, but Trump doesn't care about that. Oh, yeah, but he would just take care of that. Or he would just deny that. Or he can overcome that. Or he's going to change that. Or that he's going to make that against the law. They have really childish comebacks for everything logical that you say. So you cannot really argue with them because they're just like a 3-year-old. They're just like, what? No, but what am I? But what are you? No, it's not. You're the dope. It's like they just don't argue normally, which is why Trump didn't do a debate. He just did a, you know, uh, you know, the childish, like schoolyard kind of tactics. So for people from the villages to actually be coming out for Harris, this is a sea change. This is huge because so many Trumpers were so dyed in the wool and they were so committed to it, and there was nothing you could say to them to change it. And then all of a sudden, Kamala Harris is the presidential candidate. Oh, well, now I'm voting for her. What? So I'm wondering how many thousands of people are now going to vote for her.
Well, you've got to remember what was everybody's complaint? Most of the people were not complaining about the job Biden did.
Nope.
And they don't dislike him. They actually love him. And he did a wonderful job, but he was too old. Well, okay, so then the Democrats put in somebody that's just like Biden and younger,
Yeah.
and has more energy. And so a lot of people were just like, yes, finally, this is what I wanted. They didn't like the choice between Biden and Trump, both of them too old.
Right.
And so, I think Trump has said something like that Kamala Harris would just continue on with what Biden did. That's what she's going to do. It's been great. It has been wonderful. The last 3.5 years have been amazing because of what Biden has done. And Trump tries to act like it's just been horrible. Well, that's just not true. And we just can't get a truthful word out of any Republican these days. I mean, anybody. No. It's just craziness. So, yeah, what's going on right now with Kamala Harris is just invigorating. Everybody is, we're all a little concerned that Trump could possibly win this by either doing something underhanded and illegal, or maybe just get it. I mean, that would just be horrible. But on the other hand, when you think about Kamala Harris, you think about Biden and what he's done, and by him turning it over to her, this is just perfect. This is what now it gives everybody a choice, and their choice is going for the one that is not a convicted felon, the one that is not a sexual predator, the one that does not put down women, the one that does not want to have wants to have women's rights reinstated. The whole abortion thing, all of the things that we want is what Kamala Harris wants. All of the things that we don't want are never even considered. I mean, the threat to democracy is Trump. And I just,
in a way, with his rallies, he's kind of doing the Democrats' job for them. He's saying, yeah, she's going to continue with all of Biden's policies. Some people would turn to each other and go, oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, I like that. Let's go vote. So I think he's really going to screw himself.
If you watch some of the people in the background when he's talking about stuff, especially when he came up with this thing about don't worry about it, you're only going to have to vote now, and you're not going to ever have to vote again. And I see people looking around like,
what? Yeah.
What is he talking about? And
Yes.
then if they ever put 2 and 2 together and start looking at it going, well, you know, some people said he wants to be an authoritarian leader. Yeah, that's exactly what he wants to do. And he's got all these little Trumpster politicians supporting him. On one hand, the Republicans just want to win. On the other hand, a lot of them seem to think Trump is doing the right thing. Trump is not doing, it's not for the people at all. And that's the other thing. The Biden Harris has always been for the people. Trump has always been for himself. And
Yeah.
the little Trumpster followers just don't get that.
No,
just
they
think it's gonna
they
be
really
great.
don't. They
Well,
don't.
they love the rally. They love the party. They love the fight, fight, fight. They just, you know, something to bitch about, and they think that they're going to be winning.
Yeah.
No, that's not a win. No matter which, there's no win there at all.
Yeah. Well, I wondered. I asked my cards. You know, if Trump was able to replace J.D. Vance, would Peter Thiel retaliate? Oh yes, he would.
Oh yeah, because he's putting money
Big time.
behind Vance.
Mm-hmm. But also, I think the Heritage Foundation would also retaliate because they really want that. Now, I don't know if Vance is such a big proponent of Project 2025, although I bet he's read more of it than, or more about it than Trump has.
Oh, he's totally behind it. Those are the people that are putting Vance in where he's at. He knows all about it. He knows exactly what
Okay.
he's doing.
Okay.
He is deciding to, and I've heard people talking about it on the on YouTube about, yes, that he would instigate and do all the things that Project 2025 wants the president to do.
Mm-hmm.
So he would be in, you know, if Trump didn't want to do it, he would be in conflict with Trump on that.
Mm-hmm.
But you probably wouldn't even hear about it. But no, I mean, that Vance is a puppet for the Heritage Foundation.
Well, for Peter Thiel, and Peter Thiel, I think, is really in bed with the Project 2025 people, the Heritage Foundation too. But in the reading, I got two kings, and I'm thinking that I can't think of the guy's name, the Heritage Foundation guy. I think his last name is Roberts, but him and Peter Thiel. I got two kings here that are all about the retaliation, and you know, Six of Cups taking us back to the past. Yeah, they would definitely do stuff, but I do think that there's going to be a big push to get rid of Vance. I mean, hey, Steve Bannon's getting out of jail soon. Maybe they could have him.
God, no, please.
Peter Navarro just got out of prison. He'd make a great VP. He's proven his loyalty and
Well, and
stupidity.
all of these people that are supportive of Trump are criminals. I mean, it's just so crazy that we even have to fight for this or see it as a question of who's going to help the country, who's the most honest, who's the most transparent. I mean, the word transparent and Trump you'll never see that in the same sentence.
No, you never will. You never will. You never will. So, so you don't think that they're going to replace Vance?
I don't know. You got me thinking about it. I didn't think so because of all the money that's behind him and what they've done to put him in that spot, and that Trump fell for it, and he also supports him right now, saying, "Oh no, he's a great guy." And I just think that there's so much money. I don't know how many millions they might have given Trump to make sure that
there's other people with money, and you know, the kiss of death is when Trump says, "Oh no, I'm not going to do that. He's a great guy." That's what he said about a lot of his friends, and then he turned on them. If you look back on his
well, I don't know. I don't think all of his friends had the same amount of money behind it. I think somebody approached Trump a while back and said, "If you do it the way I want to do it, I will give you X millions of dollars."
yeah, that would have been the guy from the Heritage Foundation or Peter Thiel or both.
Right. But so once he accepts that money and he does it, I think he's pretty much stuck with it.
Yeah, but Trump is also a PR guy, and he sees how bad Vance's PR is. And he sees that that is going to hurt his chances. He also sees that Project 2025 is hurting his chances. And I think the combination of those two things is going to give him the impetus to find sourcing elsewhere. I mean, maybe Elon Musk. I heard that Elon Musk withdrew his $45 million a month support from Trump. I read that.
Well, he said, Elon Musk said that he never ever agreed to that.
Yeah, so that money's not coming from there. But there are other big donors, maybe that if Trump turned away from Project 2025, he might be able to get the support, because remember, Trump is not spending on his campaign the way the Harris campaign is. He's not buying very many ads. He doesn't have headquarters in all the states. He doesn't have operatives in all the states. He doesn't have volunteers. He doesn't have to pay to set up offices and things like that. He's not All he's doing is grifting. He's selling tennis shoes, and two different types of tennis shoes now. He's selling well, he did print up some $2 bills with both him and JD Vance on the face of the dollar bills, and he's selling that.
I
He's
know,
selling
phony is a $2 bill, huh?
Right? It's so ironic that it's a $2 bill. I'm trying to think of other things, the Bibles that he's selling. So he's doing that kind of grifting, but that's drips and drabs. He wants to go for the big time money. And
Right.
there are donors out there with big time money. Now, if he brought Nikki Haley in, he would be tapping into some of those people with the big time money. So I'm wondering if maybe he isn't already talking or having his people talk to the Haley people to see if that isn't a possibility, because she's never disavowed him. She supported him.
Well, yeah, no, it would be the best move, and it would make things probably a little bit tougher. However, I did
Mhm.
see quite a while back that between now and the election, something is going to happen with that has nothing to do with what we were just talking about, but something's going to happen with Trump. Um, I don't know if it's health wise. I don't know if it's an accident. I don't know if it's a. I mean, I think maybe that attempted assassination might have been one of the things that was working against him. That it went in his favor, and I'm glad I did. I would not. I don't want him to be assassinated, but I do. But there is something coming up. Um, I don't know what it is, but there's something coming up that's going to affect the election and affect Trump. Um,
Well, there's a real big astrological configuration surrounding, I think, the full moon in August, which is, I think, August 19th. Let me just pull it up here. They were talking about this. The full moon. Yeah, August 19th. The full moon in Aquarius has some not so pretty aspects to it. It's got a big old square with Uranus again, another square with Uranus, which is really rough. And Mars and Jupiter are conjunct, and are they squaring it too?
well, that sounds like the date's very close to the or the Democratic convention.
It is. It's the first day of the Democratic convention.
Okay.
So, yeah, so we got some gnarly stuff going on there. So, yeah,
And Lorraine says once they have the convention, they can't change the candidates. She believes that that's a possibility.
well, that may be the way it used to be, but we are living in extraordinary times. The rules just don't apply. The normal course of events are just not happening. So, yeah, sure, that's the rule, but oops, now it isn't. I mean, Biden won all the primaries, but oops, he's not the candidate anymore. So, you know, like it's very hard to predict.
Right.
It's very hard to predict. I mean, it's just there's just no telling what could happen, and that's why I'm thinking things like, hey, maybe even Vance will be replaced. Maybe Trump will be replaced. Wouldn't that be a kicker if Trump also had to step down because of this incident in mid-August?
I
Or
don't
would
think
it,
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think somebody's going to force him to step down. But I do think that something could come up with him personally
yeah,
that
that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about somebody.
that takes him. I'll tell you what I saw, and I don't understand what I'm saying right now. But what I saw is that something about within the election that Trump is vacant. They use the word vacant, and I'm like, I don't know if that means mentally not together or if he's just not physically at the involved in the election process. But I mean, that would just be so bizarre with all this fighting, with all this concern and worry that we've been going through, and then have him not be part of it. On the other hand, I do see him being part of it, but I also see him getting in a lot of trouble after the election because of all the trials and stuff against him, of all the things he's done, like especially the insurrection. And there's again, we're talking about a person that by everything I have seen, anybody that starts an insurrection is not eligible to be president of the United States.
Well, you would think that because of the 14th Amendment that would be true, but the Supreme Court is doing its darndest to make sure that that's not true.
Maybe it is something like that. Maybe something does come up in the midnight hour that says he's not even eligible. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't bank
anything's
on it. I
possible.
wouldn't bank on it, but yeah, that
Yeah,
would just
so I threw some cards on Nikki Haley stepping in as the VP pick. And first card I got was the High Priestess, which means that they're probably talking about it right now. That's secrets. We got the Eight of Pentacles, which is, perfecting your craft. And Trump's craft is lying, cheating, stealing, grifting behind closed doors. That's his craft. Six of Pentacles, that's him getting money from other people. That's generosity coming to him. Seven of Pentacles, that's somebody waiting for their ship to come in, being anxious about the end result. But the final card is Eight of Cups, walking away. So maybe Nikki Haley, maybe they do everything they can to woo her, but they can't get her to come over.
well, I hope it doesn't happen because it would totally help Trump if Nikki Haley came by and was the VP. But he wasn't smart enough to do that in the beginning, and he actually was kind of down on Nikki Haley. And then they decided, oh no, let's go ahead and have her do a speech at the convention, and she did nice, and she did on all the stuff of supporting Trump. But I don't want her to get in there because I love it that he's having such a hard time.
Having a
Period.
hard time.
And then Vance is just that guy is just something else. I mean, he's just I don't quite get why he's even there.
He's such a bozo. He is such a bozo. I mean, every time he opens his mouth, it's just embarrassing. It's
Yeah,
just embarrassing.
a complete embarrassment.
So embarrassing.
So has Trump, but Trump just manages to say embarrassing things and get away with it.
And we're used to it by now. Like
Yeah,
when he gets up there,
numb to it.
mm-hmm.
It's just nuts. But I just keep thinking about how wonderful it's going to be when Kamala Harris is the next president, and it's just that right now. It's just when I think of that side of it, it just feels like positive and excitement, and I just can't see it going any other way except for the illegalities that are going on behind the scene. And I'm just hoping and praying that the FBI and the secret, anybody that's involved with protecting our elections is on it and just paying attention to what's going on, because they are going to try to screw up the elections. They're doing everything they did before. They're going to try to do again, only probably even better, because they've tried once and it didn't work. So they've got more ideas on how to screw things up.
I don't think they ever stopped. I don't think Russia, China, Iran, I don't think they ever stopped looking at social media, creating bots, throwing things out there. I think it died down while they embraced new technology, AI, and while they embraced the lessons that they learned in the other elections. But 2020, there was a lot in 2020. There was a lot of interference, and I don't think it stopped at all after 2020. I think it has steadily just gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. Because look at the changes when you're on social media, when you're on Facebook. Look at the changes in the ads that you see. It's not like your shopping habits anymore. It's much more emotional, much more political, much more looking at issues that are more geared towards your political affiliations. It just is.
And I see these articles coming out on MSN where somebody had said, well, now that it's Kamala Harris, Trump is definitely going to win it. And so I started reading that, and it jumped from one thing to another. It never addressed that actual headline. And this is something I've been bringing up off and on, that all of these headlines, when you see them, you're like, whoa, that can't be. And then you go into the article and read it,
and it's not what it is.
It's not what it is. And this one actually went from a thing that said this, Trump is going to win it, to in the next paragraph, it was like a separate article, and it talks about Biden stepping down. Then the next one is about Harris winning it. And I'm like, what is this? Why do you? So anyway, yes, everybody be on guard for that kind of thing, because
it's social engineering, and that's the kind of thing they just have ramped up so high since after the 2016 election. They kind of died down with Trump, and then as soon as he started to campaign for the 2020 election, it ramped back up. And it's gaslighting within journalism. The title is a clickbait title to make you click it. And also they think a lot of people only read the titles, the headlines. And so it doesn't matter what the article says.
A lot of people do. And that's why they're doing that. So that's why I'm saying, if you read something like that, go and check it out and see, and look at some of these guys on YouTube. What's that guy? I just love some of these people. David something or other, and
David Pakman,
and then the one that starts
Brian Tyler Cohen,
the one that starts with M.
Midas Touch.
Midas Touch. That group. Oh, I just love what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the only time I can find the truth, is from these people that have broadcast things on YouTube, where you can actually get to the truth. And it just floors me that MSN, MSNBC, NBC, I mean, just our major networks. It's not that they're totally lying, but they're
in the bag. They're in the bag. All of them are led by people who are Trump supporters. All of them. So even if they say things about Biden, they have to temper it with, well, but Mr. Trump is doing this. Even if they say good stuff about Biden, they have to balance it, so-called, with but what about Trump? So it's bad. It's really bad.
And so when this person says Nikki flipped to Trump, so even if she runs, she blew it already, I think 45 will choose someone after Kamala chooses her VP. You got a good point there. They just might. That's one thing they've been saying, is we're going to wait and see who she picks. And even when they're talking about the debate that he's wimped out of, because he knows, oh my God, she would just screw him in a debate. Plus, they want it to be in September. September is also when sentencing could be for Trump, as well as more things about the convictions, or what was it that was, there's two things happening in September that would just totally screw things up if they had a debate. I can see why he bowed out. I mean, he doesn't say that that's why he's bowing out, but yes, she could use all of that stuff against him and make him look just terrible. So yeah, that would be very interesting if she picks somebody right away here and then Trump picks somebody else.
Yep. Very interesting indeed. So we'll see. We'll see. So what else? What else, Cleo?
Well, let's see here. Let me see what some people are saying.
Okay.
Here's one comment for you, Colleen.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, true.
And I love this one too, because I totally agree.
Yep.
If you want to get some correct information, go to them. I don't know. There's just this, it is the craziest time. And I keep saying, the energy is so weird. Now the energy is kind of calming down, and it's just a relief for me, because before it was just felt bombarding of all this weird stuff going on. And then once Biden stepped down and Kamala Harris went into the next position there for president, and then when she started instantly doing so well, like I said, it's only been a week and she is just killing it. I am so happy for her, for the country. And, and it's almost like everybody came out of the closet going, oh my God, thank God you're actually giving us a choice of somebody that we would want to have for president. And I just feel like there's so many people. I'm still back to the same old thing of this is going to be a landslide for Kamala Harris, regardless of who she picks for VP. But I do worry about the electoral states that make the difference in this race, because that's what screwed it up for Hillary Clinton. That's what screwed it up for Al Gore. I mean, there's just so many times I just wish they would get rid of that, because I think that a president should be the person that receives the most votes, period.
Yeah.
This electoral vote thing. So hopefully that will, and I know Bernie Sanders again brought it up not too long ago about doing something about it. But I think that we're just too close to the election. Nothing like that's going to happen right now. But maybe with Kamala in there, it will happen after this, where we get a different, a different kind of a system. I think the other one is the electoral system is outdated. It's unnecessary. I mean, that came from a time years and years ago when it took a long time for everybody to get all the information together. Now it's, that information is known instantly.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Anyway, well, we've been on here a little over an hour. Let me see if we have any.
While you're looking, I just want to say two other sources of news that I find very reliable is AP, Associated Press. It's no frills, but you get all the news. And Al Jazeera. And with Al Jazeera, you not only get United States news, you get world news. And they're very good. Yeah, I read that. That's great. 200,000 people. She must not have been using the webinar version of Zoom, because webinar version of Zoom can easily handle thousands of people like that. But that's just me.
So, hey, again, we get so many good comments and information from the chatters. There's just so much going on. I just really appreciate it that you guys showed up today, because it is kind of a weird time to try to drag everybody onto YouTube in the middle of summer. Great weather and on Sunday. But that's when we've been doing it, and it's working out well for us anyway. So anyway, thank you guys so much for coming. And I hope I know we're just kind of throwing a lot of stuff out there, but in the end, we're all seeing it as Kamala Harris president,
Yes.
Donald Trump felon. And so that's, to me, it's just a no-brainer. I'm just amazed that we have to spend so much time trying to convince people to do the right thing and to save our democracies. So anyway, we'll be back. I know Colleen's getting ready to take off in the middle of August, and so I don't know exactly how I'm going to do this program. Maybe I'll have some other people on. Maybe I'll just do it myself and see what happens. But thanks again for showing up and coming and participating and giving us all this information. And Colleen, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Being on here. And so we will see you all soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.